mystery exploration, darkness, history, creepy apparition, scary. Welcome to Nightmare Stories Radio. The Haunted Legacy, the true story of the Stanley Hotel, Part 1. The Whispering Mountains, high up in the lonely Rocky Mountains of Colorado, hidden among endless forests and towering peaks, there lies a grand old hotel, a place that at first glance looks like a shining palace of dreams. But within its walls, something else stirs, something ancient, something restless. They call it the Stanley Hotel. At night, when the moon rises over the jagged cliffs and the wind howls through the pines, many say you can hear whispers, faint footsteps echoing down empty halls, piano music playing with no one in sight, doors opening and closing by unseen hands. Many who visit leave, but not without carrying something home with them, a memory, a chill, a whisper that follows them into their dreams. Tonight, we open the doors of the Stanley Hotel. Tonight, we step into a story of hope, tragedy, and the unknown. A story that still breathes in the walls of that old mountain palace. Chapter 1, A Dream Carved in Stone. Our story begins in the year 1903. Freeland Oscar Stanley, a man of brilliance and fortune, had built his name creating the famous Stanley steamer automobiles. But even wealth and fame could not protect him from the deadliest disease of the time, tuberculosis. Doctors gave him a grim sentence. He had only a few months to live. Desperate, he followed the advice of his physicians. Go west, where the air is pure and thin. It may buy you more time. Freeland, along with his beloved wife Flora, packed their belongings and traveled to Estes Park, Colorado, a raw, wild land untouched by the choking smoke of eastern cities. And there, something miraculous happened. The mountain air revived him. Day by day, strength returned to his body. Where once he had coughed blood and struggled to stand, now he rode horses through endless meadows and climbed rocky hills like a man reborn. Grateful beyond words, Freeland vowed to create a gift for this land that had saved his life. He envisioned a hotel, a palace of light and luxury where others could come to heal, to laugh, and to live. A dream was born, but dreams, as we know, can sometimes become nightmares. Chapter 2, The Birth of a Legend. Construction of the Stanley Hotel began in 1907. It was a project of enormous ambition. 138 grand rooms, elegant white facades gleaming under the sun, electric lighting, rare for the time, telephones in every room, even a fleet of luxurious Stanley steamer automobiles ready to transport guests from the nearby train station. It was a place of wonder, unmatched by anything in the region. The elite from Boston, New York, and Chicago soon made it their summer retreat. Freeland and Flora lived on site, hosting lavish balls in the concert hall. Flora, an accomplished pianist, would often entertain the guests herself, filling the mountain air with the sound of music. The Stanley Hotel was a success. It was, for a time, a palace of joy. But from the beginning, there were whispers. Workers spoke of strange cold spots, even on hot summer days. Guests sometimes complained of voices in their rooms when no one was around. And at night, the grand hall sometimes echoed with footsteps. Footsteps that should not have been there. Still, the good times rolled on, until one tragic night when something went terribly wrong. Part 2, Chapter 3, The Tragedy of Room 217. It was a quiet night in 1911. Most guests had retired to their rooms. The air smelled faintly of rain, a storm brewing over the mountains. Inside the Stanley Hotel, head chambermaid Elizabeth Wilson went about her duties. In room 217, she carried a lantern to inspect for damage caused by a small gas leak earlier that day. What Elizabeth didn't know was that the room had filled with invisible gas, a deadly trap waiting for a spark. As she stepped inside, her lantern's flame flickered, then ignited the gas with an earth-shattering boom. The explosion rocked the hotel. Walls trembled, windows shattered, a cloud of smoke and dust burst into the cool night air. Elizabeth was thrown violently across the room, crashing through the floorboards and landing one story below. Miraculously, she survived, broken but breathing. The Stanley family rushed to her aid. Sparing no expense for her recovery, she lived on for many years. But some say her spirit never truly left room 217. Even today, guests who stay in room 217 report strange happenings. Luggage unpacked by unseen hands, lights flickering on and off, shadows moving at the edge of vision. A cold, comforting presence sitting on the bed at night. Some even say Elizabeth's ghost tucks guests into bed if she approves of them, or slams door shut if she does not. Room 217 was reborn from ashes, but it would forever carry a scar, a silent memory, etched into the very wood and stone. Chapter 4. Whispers in the Halls. After the explosion, something changed at the Stanley Hotel. At first, the whispers were rare. A piano playing by itself in the empty ballroom, footsteps echoing through deserted corridors. But over the years, more stories piled up. Guests woke in the night to find their covers yanked off. Workers heard children laughing where no children were staying. Visitors claimed they were watched by invisible eyes. Flora Stanley's grand piano would sometimes burst into music in the dead of night, the keys moving as if guided by ghostly hands. And the concert hall, once filled with laughter and applause, now often stood empty, save for the occasional soft clapping of phantom hands. What had once been a dream of life and healing was slowly becoming a palace of memories. Memories that refused to rest. The haunted legacy, the true story of the Stanley Hotel. Chapter 5. Stephen King's Nightmare. In 1974, a man named Stephen King found himself driving through the cold mountains of Colorado. A writer struggling with his own demons, Stephen had recently lost the battle to alcoholism. He was on the verge of a breakdown. Seeking a fresh start, he decided to take a trip to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, a place rumored to be haunted. Arriving alone on a foggy evening, Stephen was greeted by the ghostly sounds of piano music echoing through the lobby. He was the only guest staying in the Grand Hotel that night. After checking in, Stephen made his way to room 217, the same room where the tragic explosion had occurred many years before. Little did he know, the spirits that roamed the Stanley were about to make their presence known. That night, Stephen experienced a terrifying nightmare. In his dream, he was chasing a little boy through the empty labyrinthine halls of the hotel. As he ran, the child's laughter echoed eerily through the corridors. Suddenly, the boy turned into something darker. A ghostly figure, pale and thin, loomed in the shadows. Stephen woke up in a cold sweat. The air was thick with dread. The room was unnaturally cold, and he could hear whispers, like soft voices calling his name. Stephen later described that night as the most terrifying experience of his life. The nightmares he'd had at the Stanley would become the inspiration for his novel, The Shining. He would later say that the hotel's eerie presence filled him with an overwhelming sense of fear, one that would stay with him throughout the writing of the book. In a sense, the Stanley Hotel had haunted him just as it had haunted many others before him. Chapter 6, The Haunted Rooms. After Stephen King's visit, the legend of the Stanley Hotel only grew stronger. The rooms of the hotel became famous for their paranormal activity, attracting both curious visitors and seasoned ghost hunters alike. Some rooms, however, were notorious for the intensity of the spirits that called them home. Room 217. As we've already learned, Room 217 is the most infamous room in the hotel. Beyond the explosion, it is said to be home to the ghost of Elizabeth Wilson, the chambermaid who survived the blast. Guests who stay in Room 217 often report luggage that unpacks itself, lights flickering without reason, and sometimes a cold hand resting gently on their shoulder in the dead of night. One guest, a skeptic, reported waking up in the middle of the night to find a woman in old-fashioned clothing standing at the foot of his bed. He tried to speak, but his words caught in his throat as he felt a chilling wave of fear. The figure vanished without a trace. Some believe Elizabeth Wilson is merely watching over the room, protecting it, while others claim her ghost is restless, angry at her tragic death. Room 401. Room 401 is another highly haunted room at the Stanley. Guests who stay here often report hearing the sound of children laughing in the middle of the night, though no children are staying in the room. One visitor claimed to have seen a ghostly cowboy figure standing at the foot of the bed. The figure vanished as quickly as it appeared, but the atmosphere in the room remained thick with an eerie, unsettling energy. Room 428. Room 428 is yet another room where guests have reported strange occurrences. Some have claimed to hear the sounds of a party, music and laughter coming from the room next door, only to discover there was no one there when they checked. Others have experienced sudden drops in temperature, while the air itself seems to carry a faint but unmistakable smell of cigars. Chapter 7. The Ghost Hunters. In the years that followed, the Stanley Hotel became a hotspot for paranormal investigators and ghost hunters. In the 2000s, a popular television show called Ghost Hunters visited the Stanley Hotel to investigate the strange reports of paranormal activity. What they discovered was nothing short of chilling. During their investigation, the team encountered strange electromagnetic disturbances and captured disembodied voices on their recording devices. They also witnessed unexplained movements in the hotel, including doors opening by themselves and objects being moved across rooms without any human presence. But perhaps the most chilling moment came when one of the investigators entered room 217. As he approached the bed, the temperature suddenly dropped and a loud bang echoed through the room. The investigators rushed to check the source but found nothing. The Stanley Hotel, it seemed, was not just haunted by memory, it was haunted by something living, something that still walked its halls, unseen by the naked eye. Chapter 8. Secrets Beneath the Hotel. As the hotel continued to gain fame for its supernatural occurrences, more secrets were uncovered beneath its surface. Beneath the Stanley Hotel lies a network of hidden tunnels. tunnels that were originally used for maintenance and transportation, but have since become part of the eerie mythology surrounding the hotel. Some believe the tunnels serve as a gateway for the spirits, a place where the dead can travel unseen. Others think they are a prison, holding the restless souls that once walked the hotel's halls. One legend even suggests that Freeland Oscar Stanley himself, who built the hotel, used these tunnels to travel from the hotel to his personal residence without being seen. But no one knows for sure. The tunnels are sealed off now, their true purpose lost to time. Chapter 9. Living with Ghosts. Today, the Stanley Hotel is more alive than ever. It stands as a living monument to the strange, the supernatural, and the unexplained. The hotel draws thousands of visitors every year, all hoping to experience a brush with the paranormal. Despite its haunted reputation, the Stanley is a beloved destination, offering ghost tours, paranormal events, and even a Halloween celebration that draws crowds from all over the world. Some visitors come to seek the supernatural, while others come simply to enjoy the stunning views and luxurious accommodations, but many leave with stories of their own. Chapter 10. Final Reflections. Fear, Memory, and the Unseen. The Stanley Hotel is not just a hotel, it is a place of memory, a place of fear, a place where the past and present merge. Its walls hold the stories of those who have lived, loved, and died within them. And now they hold the stories of those who continue to visit, seeking or perhaps escaping something. There is a dark beauty in the Stanley Hotel, a beauty that lingers long after the guests have gone, long after the lights have gone out. For some, the hotel is a place of mystery, a puzzle that may never be solved. For others, it is a haunting reminder that the past is never truly gone. It stays with us in our dreams, our memories, and in the very rooms we dare to occupy. The end.